Hello. I never thought a random Craigslist ad would lead to the most confusing, intense year of my life. I'd just broken up with my ex, got priced out of my old apartment, and was trying to stay afloat with a job that barely covered gas and groceries. My only option was to find a roommate, fast, so I did what any desperate 20-something in LA would do. I refreshed the hell out of Craigslist. That's when I found it. Private room and 2-bedroom, quiet building, parking included, LGBTQ friendly, $950 per month. The price was suspiciously good. I assumed it was a scam, but the guy who answered my emails sounded chill, and a few days later I was standing outside a nondescript beige building in North Hollywood, waiting to meet him. The door opened and out walked Devin. Let me tell you, Devin was not what I expected. I'd pictured some older, artsy dude in yoga pants or a grungy film school dropout. But Devin looked like he walked off a gym ad. Tank top, joggers, messy dark hair. This effortless athletic vibe that screamed confidence, but not cocky. Just comfortable in his skin. "You're Jesse?" he asked, sticking out his hand. I nodded, suddenly aware I hadn't shaved in 2 days. "Yeah, hey," he smiled. "Cool, come in." The apartment was simple. Hardwood floors, second-story unit, sun coming through the blinds like something out of a rental ad. Devin gave me the tour, ending with the bedroom I'd be renting. It was small, but clean. A window with light, closet space, and best of all, no roaches. "So," he said, leaning in the hallway doorway, arms crossed. "What do you do?" "Barista," I said, then added, "But I'm trying to get into design, freelance stuff." He nodded. "Cool. I bartend at this place in West Hollywood. Nights, mostly, so we probably won't overlap much." There was a pause. "You good with a gay roommate?" he asked, casual, but something in his tone made me pause. "Totally," I said. "Actually, same." His eyebrows lifted slightly. "Good to know." And that was it. We signed papers that night. I moved in the next weekend. For the first couple weeks, things were easy. We kept to ourselves. Devin was gone most nights, working late shifts. I'd hear him come in at 2 a.m., keys jangling, shoes off at the door, the faint sound of the fridge opening. We'd pass each other in the kitchen, say hey, maybe chat about rent or if anyone called maintenance. Roommate stuff. But then things started to shift, little moments. I'd come home sweaty from work, peel off my shirt, and catch him glancing just a little too long. He'd step out of the bathroom shirtless, towel around his waist, like it wasn't a big deal. We'd sit too close on the couch when watching TV. He started offering me sips of his drinks. I started looking at his lips when he talked. One night, he asked if I wanted to check out the bar he worked at. "It's slow on Tuesdays," he said. "Good drinks, decent music, free cover." I said sure. That night changed everything. The bar was tucked between a Thai restaurant and a tattoo shop. Neon pink lights spilling out onto the sidewalk. It looked low-key from the outside, but inside, it was sleek, moody, with plush booths and a pulsing bass that you could feel in your chest. Devin greeted a few regulars, gave a chin nod to the DJ, and slid behind the bar like he owned the place. "First drink's on me," he said, pulling 2 tumblers from the shelf. "What's your poison?" I smirked. "Surprise me!" He raised an eyebrow, then set to work, grabbing bottles with the ease of muscle memory. The drink he handed me was smooth, citrusy, just the right kind of strong. We talked between sips and shifts. He'd check on customers, pour a few rounds, then lean back on the counter to chat with me like we were in our living room. A couple of his coworkers eyed us curiously. One even smirked. "You and Devin?" she asked when he stepped away for a second. "Something going on?" I blinked. "What?" "No, we're just roommates." She gave me a look. M. Sure," Devin returned before I could answer. "You good?" "Yeah," I said quickly. "All good." We didn't leave until after midnight. I was buzzed and warm and maybe laughing a little too hard at everything he said. As we walked home, our shoulders brushed once, then again. "You're fun when you loosen up," he said, flashing that lazy grin of his. "I'm always fun," I shot back, nudging him with my elbow. He laughed. "Yeah, but this version of you flirts more." I stopped walking. He took 2 more steps before realizing I wasn't beside him anymore. He turned back, eyebrow raised. "What?" "You said I flirt more," I said, trying to keep my voice casual. "So, was I flirting?" Devin didn't answer right away. He stepped back toward me, slower this time. We stood under the flicker of a street lamp, the city humming in the background, and suddenly it felt like the quietest moment in the world. "You tell me," he said. My throat felt dry. I looked at him, really looked, at his mouth, the small scar on his cheek, the way his eyes softened when he was serious. "I think maybe," I said quietly. "I have been." He didn't move, but he didn't back away either. "I noticed," he said. His voice was low, almost careful. My pulse was thudding. "Is that okay?" Devin's smile faded into something smaller, more real. "Yeah, it's okay." We stood like that for a second too long. Then he reached up, brushed something off my cheek, something that wasn't there, and kept walking. No kiss, no big moment, just a look over his shoulder and a soft, "You comin'?" I followed him home. That night, I lay awake in bed, staring at the ceiling. My heart felt like it had been rewired. Devin was right down the hall, maybe awake too, maybe thinking the same thing I was. Or maybe not, but I knew one thing for sure. Something had shifted. And there was no going back. The morning after, the bar felt weird. Not bad, just different. Like the air between us had thickened somehow. Devin was already in the kitchen when I woke up, shirtless, his hair a mess, flipping eggs like nothing had changed. He glanced up as I walked in, gave me a nod. "Coffee's fresh." "Thanks," I mumbled, pouring myself a mug and trying not to overanalyze the way his back muscles shifted as he moved. We ate in silence, but not the usual kind. This was a loaded silence, a silence with subtext, the kind that comes after a maybe almost kiss. "So," I said, stabbing at my scrambled eggs, "last night was fun." Devin smirked, eyes on his plate. "Yeah, you clean up well." I rolled my eyes, but couldn't help the smile tugging at my mouth. "You're a flirt." He looked at me, serious for a second. Not usually. That landed hard in my chest. The conversation shifted to safer topics. Rent, groceries, whether the AC was working again, but the tension lingered all day. It wasn't until that night that it came to a head. I was curled up on the couch in shorts and a hoodie, watching some dumb reality show and scrolling on my phone. Devin came out of his room, towel around his neck, fresh from the shower. He smelled like cedar soap and heat. "You watching this trash again?" he asked, dropping onto the couch next to me. "Guilty pleasure," I said. We watched in silence for a bit, or pretended to. I could feel him beside me, too close. Not touching, but close enough that one wrong shift would change that. And then it happened. Not dramatic, not sudden, just real. Devin shifted slightly, his thigh brushing mine. I didn't move. His arm came up behind me, resting on the back of the couch. Still not touching, but now I was surrounded. Slowly, like he was giving me every chance to stop it, he leaned in. His voice was low. "Is this okay?" I turned to face him. Our noses nearly touched. My heart slammed in my chest. "Yeah," I whispered. The kiss was soft, not unsure, but gentle, like he was testing a theory. He tasted faintly of mint and something warm. I leaned in, deepening it just slightly, and that was all it took for his hand to slide behind my neck, pulling me closer. We kissed until my lungs begged for air. When we finally pulled apart, he looked at me like he wasn't sure what to say. "I've never done that before," he admitted. I blinked. You mean, with a guy, he said, not like that. We sat there, breath mingling, the glow of the TV painting his face in shifting blues and yellows. Are you freaking out? I asked. No, he said. Then, after a pause, but I think I might be if it wasn't you. That hit harder than I expected. We didn't talk much after that. We didn't need to. I fell asleep on the couch, his arm draped over me, our legs tangled. For the first time in months, I didn't dream about running or rent or the next gig. I dreamed about him. The next morning I woke up still on the couch, Devin's arm wrapped loosely around my waist. Sunlight spilled through the blinds, painting warm stripes across our skin. For a moment I didn't move. I didn't want to. His breath was slow and even. I could feel the rise and fall of his chest behind me, the soft weight of his hand still resting against my stomach. I closed my eyes again, just for a second, pretending we were something more than roommates who kissed once during a reality show. Eventually, he stirred. His hand flexed slightly, then retreated. Morning, he mumbled, voice rough with sleep. Hey, I said, sitting up slowly. Slept okay? He stretched and nodded. Yeah, better than usual. There was a pause. Not awkward, but hesitant. So, I started. Are we talking about it? Devin rubbed his face. Do you want to? I mean, kind of. I tried to sound casual, but the truth was, I hadn't stopped thinking about it all night. Just, was that a thing? Or a one-time thing? He sat up, elbows on his knees. I don't know yet, he admitted. I didn't expect it to happen, but I'm not sorry it did. That wasn't exactly an answer, but it wasn't a rejection either. For the next few days, things between us stayed in this strange limbo. We didn't kiss again, didn't touch much, but there was an undercurrent to everything now. Glances held too long, brushing past each other in the kitchen, quiet conversations that felt more intimate than they should have. One night, we were both in our rooms, doors closed, when I got a text from him. Devin, you up? I stared at it for a second, then replied. Me, yeah. You okay? Devin, can I come in? My heart kicked up as I typed back. Me, doors open. A few seconds later, I heard his footsteps. He knocked once, then stepped inside. He looked tired, not just physically, like something was weighing on him. I couldn't sleep, he said, walking to the edge of my bed. I sat up, sliding over to make space. You want to talk? He shook his head. Not really. I just don't want to be alone right now. He sat down beside me, and for a minute we just sat there in silence. Then he turned toward me. I've been thinking about that night. The kiss. Yeah? He nodded. I keep waiting for it to feel wrong, but it doesn't. He looked at me, and in his eyes, I saw fear, curiosity, and something that looked a lot like hope. I'm not used to this, he said quietly. Any of it. I know, I said. We don't have to figure it all out right now. Devin reached for my hand. Can I stay here tonight? Of course. We lay down, fully clothed, facing each other. His forehead rested against mine, and for a long time, we just breathed. It wasn't about sex. It wasn't even about labels. It was about him needing someone, and me being there. About something real, fragile, and kind of terrifying. That night, he fell asleep first. I stayed awake a little longer, holding his hand, wondering where this was going, and knowing deep down that wherever it went, I wanted to go with him. The next morning, I woke up to the sound of rain tapping against the window. Devin was still asleep, his hand loosely entwined with mine under the covers. It was peaceful. Too peaceful almost, as if the outside world had paused just for us. I lay there for a while, listening to the rain, watching the slow rise and fall of his chest. There was something about seeing him like that, unguarded, unbothered, just there, that made my chest ache in the best way. Eventually, he stirred, blinking awake. For a second, he looked confused. Then his eyes landed on me and he smiled. Morning, he said, voice scratchy. Morning, I replied, brushing hair from my forehead. Sleep okay?" He nodded. "Better here." We got up slowly, making coffee in that half-silent way people do, when they're still figuring out the shape of something new. He didn't rush out of the room like it was a mistake. He didn't pretend like nothing happened. That felt important. Later that afternoon, I was working on a design project in the living room, headphones in, when Devin walked in wearing jeans and a plain white tee. He looked good. Too good. He plopped onto the couch across from me, grabbed the remote, and muted the TV before looking at me. "Can I ask you something?" I paused my playlist. "Sure." He fidgeted for a second, then said, "What is this to you?" It was the question I'd been trying not to ask myself. "I don't know yet," I said honestly, "but I like it." "I like you." Devin looked at me for a long moment, like he was checking for any sign of hesitation. "I'm scared, man," he finally said. "I know, but I want to try." I nodded, something tight in my chest loosening. Then, "Let's try." He smiled, slow and real, and it made something inside me melt. After that, things changed, but in a quiet, subtle way. We didn't announce anything. We didn't start calling each other boyfriends or posting selfies or talking about it like it was some big thing. But we started cooking dinner together. We started brushing teeth side by side. We started sleeping in the same bed most nights. He started holding my hand in the car when he thought no one would notice. The first time he kissed me in public, we were at a food truck downtown. He leaned in to say something, then just did it. Quick. Soft. Right on the corner of my mouth. No one said anything. No one cared, except me. I cared a lot. That night, lying in bed, I asked, "So what now?" Devin pulled the blanket over us, tucking it under his chin. "We just keep going," he said, "and see where this takes us." The days turned into weeks, and those weeks into months. What started as an awkward Craigslist arrangement slowly became something I didn't have words for. Something that lived in the space between shared glances and brushed fingertips, quiet dinners and long, slow mornings tangled up in each other's limbs. Devin didn't change overnight. He was still figuring things out. About himself, about us. Some days, he seemed sure of it all, reaching for my hand in public without thinking. Other days, he'd pull back, like the world outside was too loud, and everything good between us might disappear if anyone looked too closely. But that was okay, because I wasn't going anywhere. There's this thing that happens when you live with someone, not just in the physical sense, but emotionally too. You start to memorize them, the way they load the dishwasher in a strangely specific order, how they hum off key when they think you're asleep, the way their voice shifts when they're anxious, or how they always pretend not to cry during emotional movie scenes. I learned all of Devin's little details, and he learned mine. One rainy Sunday, I was curled up on the couch sketching ideas for a client. Devin came out of the bedroom with wet hair and no shirt, holding 2 mugs of tea. He handed me one without a word and sat next to me, close enough that our knees touched. "You know," he said quietly, "I used to think relationships were supposed to be hard, messy, full of drama." I looked over at him. "And now?" He shrugged, a lazy smile spreading across his face. "Now I think maybe they're just supposed to feel like this. Like tea and sketch pads and rainy Sundays?" He nodded. "Exactly. It wasn't always perfect. We had our moments, stupid fights over laundry, jealousy flaring up at the wrong times, insecurities that crept in when one of us had a rough day. But the thing that kept us steady was that neither of us bolted. We stayed. We worked through it. We gave each other space, and then we filled it again. The turning point came late one night when we were lying in bed, both of us half asleep, the city humming through the window. Devin rolled over, slid his arm across my chest, and whispered into the dark, "I think I love you." He didn't say it like it was a grand confession. He said it like a truth he'd finally accepted. I turned to him, heart pounding in my ears. "I think I love you too." And that was it. No fireworks, no dramatic soundtrack, just the soft, quiet certainty that whatever we had, it was real. Now, When people ask how we met, I still say Craigslist and laugh. But what I don't tell them, what I couldn't possibly explain, is everything that came after. The slow burn, the tension, the late night talks, the vulnerability, the way two people who weren't looking for love somehow built it from scratch, right there in a 2-bedroom apartment in North Hollywood. Because in the end, Devin wasn't just my roommate. He became my beginning, my middle, and the first person who made me believe that maybe, just maybe, I was worth staying for. A year later, we renewed the lease together, not because it was the easy choice or the cheapest, but because that little apartment had become something neither of us expected. Home. Not the walls or the furniture or even the view from the window. It was the life we built inside it, the rhythm we fell into. The way we came to know each other not just as roommates or even lovers, but as constants. We joked about finding a bigger place, maybe something with a balcony or an extra room so I could finally have a proper workspace. Devin, ever the minimalist, said he just wanted more sunlight and a kitchen where the oven didn't hiss like a dying animal every time we turned it on. But deep down, I think we both knew that even if we stayed in that cramped, paint-chipped 2-bedroom forever, we'd be okay. Because what we had was no longer about space. It was about presence. And Devin? He wasn't just figuring things out anymore. He was sure now, of himself, of us. He started introducing me as his partner, not roommate, not Jesse from the apartment. Partner. And the first time he said it, at a friend's birthday, his arm casually draped over my shoulders, I felt something shift. Not in him, but in me. Like I'd finally arrived at a place I didn't even know I'd been trying to get to. We were still imperfect, still human. He sometimes forgot to answer texts. I still left coffee cups in every room, like breadcrumbs. But the difference was, now we met each other in the mess. We forgave each other quickly. We laughed through the tension. We had hard conversations and didn't leave the room until both of us felt heard. I remember one night, a storm rolled in, a rare heavy one. The power cut out mid-dinner. The apartment plunged into darkness, and for a second we just stood there in the quiet, forks still in our hands, rain hitting the windows like it was trying to get in. And Devin just looked at me and smiled. "Still glad we renewed?" he asked, teasing. I set my fork down, walked over, and kissed him. Every single day. We ate the rest of our dinner by candlelight, seated on the floor with our plates balanced on our knees, like something out of a movie. And afterward, we curled up under a blanket and listened to the storm, the kind of silence that doesn't need to be filled. Sometimes, I think about that Craigslist post. Just a few lines of text. No photo, no promises, just a guy looking for someone to split the rent. And somehow, in between utility bills and weeknight pasta, we split everything else too. Fear, hope, space, time. Until what was his became mine. And what was mine, my love, my trust, my whole heart, became his without me even realizing I'd handed it over. We didn't meet because of destiny. We met because we both said yes to something that looked like nothing, and turned it into everything. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.